in terms of the eastern population. In Mexico, the decimation of the forest is a big issue, where that one little Goldilocks forest where the monarchs roost, it's not a huge amount of land. It's a very particular climate with a very particular situation that you can't just replicate anywhere. That's also a place on the planet where people rely heavily on wood burning stoves to heat their homes, and wood and lumber are very much prized. There's not a huge diversity of economic possibilities for people who live there to make a living and support their families. And so they cut down trees. And one of the big theories that Dr. Fred Urquhart put forward was how the forest where the monarch roosts, because it's so thick with these Oyamel sacred firs, creates a blanket effect. So the canopy of the forest keeps the temperature just right for monarch butterflies. So once you start to tear holes in that canopy forest and the cold air can come in, that's when you start to get into trouble. And we've had a couple of really historic and devastating freezes when the monarchs were roosting down there. We're talking about hundreds of millions of butterflies in a small area, and then a freeze comes along and just kills millions and millions of them. The forest floor is like a carpet of dead butterflies, and there's photos of this that are really disturbing and sad. So you got illegal logging in Mexico, and more recently we've got avocado farming. Avocados are like considered oro verde, like green gold, because avocados are so in demand in the United States, and the perfect climate for growing avocados also happens to be the perfect climate for monarch butterflies to roost. And until recently, Michoacan, which is where many of the roosting sites are in Mexico, was the only state in Mexico that was authorized to export avocados to the United States. And that was a result of NAFTA. Recently, they authorized Jalisco to export avocados. But again, avocados are not different in a way, I guess, from monarchs, in that they require this very particular climate where it's not going to freeze, but it's not going to get too hot. It's going to be just right. And so what's happened apparently in recent years is the cartels have taken over some of these farms in Michoacan, and the roosting sites are, and made people turn them into avocado farms because it's so lucrative. So you've got all these competing forces. You've got less forest where they roost, you've got less milkweed where they reproduce, and you've got climate change on top of that. And then you've got the usual stuff, urban development, pollution, pesticides, all of those things. So that's like, it really is like a perfect storm of variables that are contributing to the demise of the monarch butterfly.